So I can see one attendee on the Zoom. So that's a start. And 2 eyes on me on Facebook. So maybe you guys will give me a little thumbs up just to say hello. Okay, so now I'm just waiting on Andrew. This is the Intune Parenting Facebook Live series. And if we've not met before, I'm Helen Schgerst. I'm a parent coach and founder of Intune Parenting. And if we've not met before, I'm Helen Schgerst. I'm a parent coach and founder of Intune Parenting. And I'm just waiting. I see now I've got, I think he might be here. Oh no, it's Emma. Hi Emma, how are you? I see Emma on, and I see Rena. Hi Rena, thanks for the thumbs up. I'm pretty sure Andrew should be joining me pretty soon now. Hi Caroline, how are you? Thanks for coming and joining us today. Sorry about this little bit of waiting. I'm kind of an early bird. I tend to come early for things. And I was just sitting here and I just wanted to get started to make sure everything was on Facebook properly and that we were, everything was going to go to plan. Hi, Rena. So yeah, we'll just have to wait now for Andrew to come on. He's already wrote to me on Facebook, so he said that he's waiting to come on too. So I know he's probably close to his computer, if not on it at the moment. Using Zoom is all pretty new to me, so I'm just working it out this week. Hopefully by next week I'll be well sorted. And if you see that I'm not actually looking at the camera a lot, it's because there's so much new things for me to work out on this Zoom. So I'm just checking all those out, and I'm also looking at Facebook at the same time. And you can all hear me okay? Yeah, the sound is okay. Hi, Brona. I see you waving. Okay. Okay, still waiting on Andrew. Sorry, guys, this is probably going to be a really boring part, but at least before I repost this, I can sort of edit this bit out. Hi, B. Great, thank you for letting me know the sound is working. That's good. I'm trying my best, thank you. So we'll see. I'm just looking forward to talking to Andrew, so that should all come soon. So I've actually got a question and answer box. I should move over to this side, I think. Okay. Sorry, I know this is really boring. I usually turn them off at this stage, so please don't turn me off. Okay, so we're just waiting for exactly past. It's past now, so hopefully Andrew will come on now soon. Oh, great! It looks like we've got a few more people. Yep, here he is. Okay. Hi, Andrew. Hi. Let me see. I can't hear you. Oh, maybe you're muted. There you go. Hello?
Hi.
Hi, I can hear you now. That's great. Thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, what a great pleasure. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. So look, the first thing I want, first of all, introduce yourself. So you're Andrew Newman from the Conscious Story Club.
Right.
Conscious Bedtime Story Club.
That's me. Yeah.
That's you.
Are we jumping right in, Helen? Have we got a few folk joining us already?
We do, we sure do. I came on a little bit earlier, so I welcomed everybody in already, and then I was just waiting on you joining us. So yeah, we're just going to jump straight in, okay?
Perfect, let's do it.
Great. So the first question I want to ask you is, what made you decide to reach out to parents to help them to reconnect with their children in the last 20 minutes before bed in this way, to establish a better connection with them at that moment, and then also long-term into the future?
Helen, my background's included training in healing work. It's had a lot of psychological understanding of developmental, childhood developmental models, and how we begin to make sense of our world when we're young, but we don't understand it quite right.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that the last 20 minutes of the day as an adult and what happens at that time deeply affects my sleep, and in turn it deeply affects how I wake up the next day.
Yeah.
I think as grown-ups, we all grown-ups. Well, I don't know if I've grown up yet, but I think we all have the experience of going to sleep on an argument, and how kind of like the mind churns and the sleep is restless, and I know that in a lot of mindfulness practices, there's a lot of discussion around the first hour of the day and how you might make your way to your yoga mat or sit down and have some quiet time. I also know that I'm talking to parents who haven't seen a yoga mat in years because their kids are up before them. So I thought, well, that last 20 minutes is interesting. You've got to put your kids to bed for the first almost 8 years of their life. You're engaged in something that's happening at that time. Let's use it mindfully.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and I particularly love the 4 breaths at the beginning of the book, how you do that. Because I just feel these books as well have a real, they've got a place in every home, and I'm really happy to be able to spread your word to the people in Ireland here, and I hope that everybody will consider buying your books. I think that they're a great way to wind down in the evening, and they also fit in really nicely with my ebook that I have out, and which is about sleep, and there's a sleep induction method, and I now recommend your story. I was originally saying for the parent to make up a story, something that was like relaxing for the child. But now I absolutely recommend your stories. I think they're amazing. And so I'm just wondering what inspired the stories and the layouts of the book with the breathing at the beginning and the activity at the end.
Yeah, the stories in many ways started for me as a journaling process that became poetical, and then one day I had a poem that needed some pictures. And a few years later, I'd done that a couple of times, and I was like, wow, I've got 4 books. What am I doing with these? And at that point, I started to hold the stories up against this desire in me to be in service and to help and to integrate what I spent a lot of time making my own personal inquiries, because I just happen to have that spiritual nature self. That's just a big calling in my in who I am. And I thought, let's in each instance you were asking how the stories arrived or what inspired them. In many cases they seem to come on their own accord. If I take, for example, The Boy Who Searched for Silence, I spent 4 days in a silent retreat. It was part of Sri Ravi Shankar's work. He's got 30 million followers around the world, and every now and again I like to do one of his retreats. At the end of the retreat, there's this little knock, knock, knock on the inside of my head saying, go and get your pen. And it's become familiar for me, and I go and get my pen, and the story wrote itself in about 5 minutes. And invariably, my stories come out of a community experience like that. Several of them have been written in the Findhorn Foundation in the north of Scotland. Others were written in an interfaith community camp in a peace camp in Israel. There's a story called The Prayer Who Searched for God. And again, so I go into community and I kind of call forward a story, and I listen deeply to see what story wants to be told and shared.
Wow. And the layout of the books, where did that come from?
The breathing practice that we call snuggle breathing, 4 simple breaths. I breathe for me, I breathe for you, I breathe for us, and I breathe for all that surrounds us. That actually emerged out of a long distance relationship that I had at some stage when I was traveling, and I had a partner, and we wanted to try and find a way to stay connected. And we used to just text each other and say, hey, do you want to do the breathe now? And we did it, and we found that for both of us, we had this experience of it being calming and settling and deeply connecting, even though we were on the other side of the world. And so I thought, well, the relationship came and went, but at the time when the book started emerging, I thought, wow, that's probably the best little something I've ever stumbled across. Let's use that. And the activity pages, again, come out of what might be more of an adult practice. There's a lot of language around, hey, let's do gratitude at the end of the day, write down what you're thankful for. And the first one that I created as an activity page was the gratitude spiral, and I put that into The Boy Who Searched for Silence. And it had a nice, then when I got to see the kind of the bracketing for the first time, or the start and the finish, And I thought, wow, this is good. For parents to deepen their connection with their kids, um, there's something that happens in story time. There's a change of posture. You've been in this parenting mode, which is put your pajamas on, brush your teeth, have a bath, whatever it is, and it's kind of like almost it could be a battle line on some nights of the week. But story time, you come alongside them and you're an ally as you climb under the duvet and you switch the nightlight on and you get into reading mode. All of a sudden, you're with each other. And I felt like I wanted to continue that into a discussion phase rather than a parent going back into that mode where they say, so what happened to you in your day? Which can land defensively, but rather to just arrive next to them and say, hey, I'm thankful for this. What are you thankful for?
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, it's really, really nice. I really like that. You've also said in other interviews that your aim is to give children this sense that they belong and for them to feel safe and loved. And I was just wondering if you could explain in what ways your stories facilitate that and in what ways they fulfill your aim. What about them is it that?
Right. I want to bring in something that I read just this morning from the Course of Miracles, because I make my way through that. And what it says is that there's only one problem in the world, and that problem is separation. And it also goes on to say, but the problem's already been solved, which I found a very interesting view to hold when in relationship to the issues of safety, and I mean safety to be myself. And a sense of belonging. And often that belonging starts inside the family. And I think that many people have the experience of feeling like the black sheep, like they're somehow outside and they don't quite fit in. They don't fit in at home and they don't fit in at school. But the irony is there's thousands of us who feel like we don't fit in. So we're missing each other in little ways. And in order to create continuity in the reflective activity pages at the end, go back to who was part of your day. Let me see. We have the hug meter. So the hug meter is at the back of the book called The Hug Who Got Stuck. And we ask, how many hugs did you receive today? How many did you give? So a little philosophical gap there. What special ingredients do you put into your hugs? What sticky thoughts are bothering you? And this is the central premise of this story, is that our sticky thoughts get in the way of the flow of our love. And rather than just brush over that, I bring it right to light so that we can go, there was something that was challenging me. Here's what my head's telling me. We did a little interview with a 6-year-old last weekend at a market. Her sticky thoughts were, and nobody wants to play with me, and they're all mad at me. And I was like, it was just touched my heart so much that she understood that immediately, and she had her solution to what she does, because she goes and takes a breath and asks for help from her mum or a grown up at school. And I thought, wow, this girl's really understands.
Yeah.
But the continuity comes from also then going, who are we growing hugs for tomorrow? So we've looked back into the day behind us. Who was part of it? What difficult thing happened? But we got through it. And then what are we going into tomorrow? And that creates a sense of continuity. And in that continuity, there's space for safety and belonging.
That's beautiful. So we have other questions as well. I've got a lady here called Emma, and she's asking, I'm just going to click, I've never used this before, I'm going to click this answer live. I think that means that she'll come on. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's find out.
Is that how it works? Emma, are you there? Would you like to answer this question live? I'm not sure if she's actually there or not, Andrew, sorry, but I can just read out her question. Her question says, my children are 3.5 and 2. Are they a good age for these books? They sound so good. She likes the sound of your books.
It's really interesting, because I think that my books are for kids from the age of about 3 to 85, and different things happen at different ages. So we know that at the age at 2, this is about time with mum having an activity that she can do to be present with her little one. The content of the story is relevant, but not on the same level that it's going to be relevant at 3 or 4. And at that stage, it is about the colors, the images, the pictures. We have some of my books that work well into that age group, and those are the rhyming picture ones in the collection. Books like The Elephant Who Tried to Tiptoe. It's just full of animals, and that's why parents with young kids at that age would start with what we got going here. But if I were to speak to the values in the story, if I think about it, we are modeling and we are teaching our values as parents to our kids every second of the day, whether it's in an expressed language moment or whether it's through our behavior, where it's mostly that they will see it and they will mimic it and they will copy it. Then from that perspective, nobody's too young to start this. For mum to do the 4 breaths of the snuggle breathing and to really settle and to model to her child how to settle through her own actions, and then to be engaged through eye contact. One of the things about a connection at this young age is that the connection needs to take priority over the completion of the story. And I say that because kids open up at night and something happens, whether it's 2 and 3.5, like she's talking about, or whether we're talking about 4, 5, or 6. The story time starts, and then we think it might take 15 minutes and we can turn the light off and they can go to sleep. But something happens and they open up at that moment, and it's our job to be ready for that opening, and to jump right in when it happens, and be willing to let go of our agenda of getting them to sleep so that we can, whatever it is, watch Netflix or do more work or wash the dishes. How could washing the dishes be more important than this moment that's arising with the little one? And to trust that, and again, then they see something in the story that isn't there or is different to what's there, and there's an opportunity to follow that and to follow them with it and to co-create an experience. So any book would do that. It's more about the attitude of the parent to the readiness of that surprise as it presents itself.
Yeah, and I suppose the breathing to begin and everything like that, it gets the child into a place where they're in a more calm and relaxed, open place anyway. So like you say, any book can, a parent can sit and connect with their child over a book. So similarly, I was going to say to you, I would figure your books can be read at any time of the day, whenever you want to try and get that close connection. But you've actually identified, that was my first question, so I asked it, and that the 20 minutes at the end of the day is nearly the most important time for you to connect with your child, because they're processing. Just let me know now if I'm not actually rounding this up right or not, but they're processing things that have happened in their day. And so you feel whenever you have your story at that time of day, and your child opens up at that time of day, it's because it's the right time, because they'll be processing everything that's happened so far, and it prepares them so they can let go of things maybe that didn't work. The parent can talk through it with them and help them to let go of things. Am I getting that right? Is that the...
Yeah, absolutely. We have very little language about transition times, but this is a transition time. We're going from awake to asleep, and different things happen when we're asleep to when we're awake. So also remember your little one who is 3, 4, or 5. One day of their life is so much more of their life than it is for you and I, and they're trying to make sense of it. The understanding that, or the attitude that I have, is that we get to wake up each day like a newborn baby, like we've got complete access to our own inner essence, that brilliant divinity, whatever your words are about it. I'm not attached to it, but it's like that, I mean, what do we call it? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like who you are and who you can be at your fullest is available to you every morning. And then you go out into the world, and the world, not intentionally, but seemingly knocks that down and says, no, you can't be as big and bright and bold and brave and so your little one's running around and it gets told to sit still for a moment because your child's disrupting the class. Now that information's got to be interpreted and made sense of. Usually the way that it's interpreted is, oh, I can't be myself. Here's that thread of I'm not safe to be myself. I can't be myself in this way. I need to somehow modify my behavior to be different. Now that little one who's had that experience during the day is then going to sleep at night, and the psyche can work all night long on working something over like that, so that it creates safety. How do I be safe? How do I be safe? How do I be safe? And the answer, and actually safety just comes as eye contact that comes between parent and child, the modulating of the breath at that stage. There's a piece of information I want to layer in here as well, which is that in the language of auras, chakras, and energy systems, the child's energy system is only fully developed at the age of 7. That's when they individuate out of the mother's field. And so having that physical proximity and the closeness together, I can't overemphasize enough the influence that mum's centeredness and groundedness in herself has on offering that quality to her child. That's why they come right in. They want to have that feeling in a certain way.
Yeah. Another thing that I really like about your books, and I think a lot of people in Ireland will be the same as me in this, that we've been raised with religion, but there's a lot of people in my generation who have kind of come away from religion, but haven't come away from their spirituality.
Right.
And it can be difficult sometimes without an organized religion to teach children about spirituality, to find the words. And I just think that your books are a really great kind of tool. It's a lovely little in-between there to kind of help to bridge that gap where you don't really know how to explain these big concepts to your children. Things about like meditating and different spiritual practices all comes into your books, doesn't it? Like with the boy search for silence, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me have a scratch here. I don't know if you've caught track. This is the prayer who searched for God. And again, this is the one that was written at a peace camp in Israel. And there are a couple of gaps. I mean, you're correctly pointing one out, the gap between parents who have an inner spirituality and want to try and communicate it to their little ones and don't, and there aren't the tools. That's the other gap. The market yet hasn't evolved on this. I had a conversation with a publisher yesterday. I mean, I publish all my own books, but I do like to stay in touch. And I had this conversation with a publisher about, what they would do with it. And their feedback from the collection was fascinating. They said to me, it's beautiful stories, definitely ahead of their time, and perhaps a little bit too deep for our target market. And I thought, that's fantastic. I love that. That's exactly where I want to be. Because it means that we've got stories that our children are so different to us. They're coming in. I know they're incredible little beings, and they will get this, even if we as the adult, might not yet understand it, because we've got this legacy that you're pointing out. We've got this having been raised in traditional religious structures. And I mean, my stories fit into those structures. There are many people in I'm in Boulder, Colorado, in the States, and we have a very strong Christian community here, who complement their lifestyle with these stories.
Yeah, so they're multi-denominational in a way, yeah.
Right, absolutely,
yeah,
because I mean, if we're gonna get into the territory, I don't want to go too far into it, but there is only one, whatever the one is, if you want to use the word of God or source or universe or spirit, that we're a world of oneness. This is a place of non-duality.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to communicate to my children. And like I say, it's that's nearly sometimes too big for them. It's almost you know what I mean, to try and find the words to explain what you mean, you know. And just to say, because Emma's question earlier about her 2-year-old, actually I tried doing the 4 breaths, and I showed on YouTube, I don't actually have a physical book here, but I showed on YouTube the voice search of silence to my little 17-month-old, who was completely engrossed in the story and did the breathing, followed along and loved the breathing. So I think that sometimes it does translate to younger children too. Might not have been the kind of the intention, it wasn't your target audience, but she totally got it and she loved it. So
Right.
yeah, so thank you.
And again, because you get it, Helen. I mean, you're going to model this beautifully for her. We have that Boy's Search for Silence is in a local Montessori school. I went to do a little teachers a reading, not to the teachers but to the parents, and we read the story. But now the kids already know it. And you get to the page where the boy goes searching for silence out in the world. He goes to the bottom of the garden. He goes to the park. Goes to the forest. And there's a 4-year-old in front of me going, "It's inside him! It's inside him!" You know, so she's grasping the concept from the narrative, and the books are crafted. They don't all have this big hero's journey, but several of them do, where we meet the character, and the character goes down into some challenging situation. Like the hug who gets stuck in the web of sticky thoughts, and the whole world gets gloomy. The hug factory, which is in the center of the heart, well, it grinds to a halt, and we want that. There's this hope as a reader that the hug will find its way out, and in the moment where it stops wriggling, stops squirming, and stops fighting, then it returns back to its own true nature, and through that it slips past the web of sticky thoughts and gets free. The character, in its descent into this difficult challenge and in its victory, then models again for the readers how to get out of that situation when it comes up in their life. And we've got parents who then talk to their little ones in the language of the story. "Hey, sweetie, do you have a stuck hug, or have you got a sticky thought? What's what are you thinking?" Or the bee who could not choose his flower. "Do you remember what happened to the bee when he didn't make a decision?" "Oh, he got stuck in the weeds." "Well, we don't. Do you want to get stuck in the weeds? Are these the weeds now, or can we help you make a decision?" And land on the flower like the bee eventually learned to do.
Brilliant, yeah. Oh, I have more. There's another question. If you don't mind me asking, there's actually 3 more questions here in a row. Is that okay if I just call them out too? Because I don't know how to get them on live again. So the first one is actually just an anonymous person, and they say that they're currently trying to move away from the iPad and TV and trying to get them to sleep, down for our 3 and 5-year-old. Would it be better continuing this downtime downstairs on the sofa, or should we try and get them to wind down in their bedroom in their beds?
So I want to full disclosure here. I don't have my own children, but to complement that, I travel around conscious parenting summits, and I listen to other narratives around this, and I get a lot of feedback from parents. And I think that some rhythm and structure is good, and that if we're in a transition like we're talking about, then the sofa downstairs can be part of that transition. Mm-hmm. There's no need for it to be either or, but rather to use it as a step towards the bedroom. And I hear of stories where Joel, his whole business is around simplicity, and what he does with his little kid is that they have a moon clock on the wall, and when the I don't fully understand how it works, but when the moon comes out, in other words, the light starts to reflect on the wall, mm-hmm. That's the end of story time. And it doesn't matter what time they moved towards the bedroom, mm-hmm. When the moon comes out, it's the end. And then, so what happens is the kids take the initiative because they want the story. In his case, he sings as well. And they want the story, so they say, "We've got to go to bed now." Because we want our story before the moon comes out. And it's like I thought, wow, it's so empowering for them.
They want that connection time with their daddy. So yeah, that's exactly it. And probably my ebook that I have, just to throw that in there, probably could help with this. I talk a lot about routine, and I would normally recommend going upstairs with like curtains closed, so that there's that playtime is downstairs. That's that separation. In the room is where we do our story, and it's nice and dark, because whenever it's dark, that helps the body to produce melatonin and different things to help the child, settle down for the night and get into that mode, just to kind of not feel all excited from their day. And playtime, it's very separate, and this reading the book, that's why I quite like the tone of your book. It's nice, calm, gentle time. It's very, it's calm, and things like an iPad and stuff. Again, I'm sure you've probably heard of that as well. The lights emitted and stuff from it, it's not really going to be the thing that's going to be conducive to sleep. Whereas a story time would be in a nice kind of darkened room, snuggly, your snuggle breathing, like you said about as well, would all help wind down the body a lot better than an iPad or watching TV on the couch, right?
Right, and this is why my books aren't available on Kindle, because I want you to have a hard, tangible something that you can gather around without those effects.
Yeah, I think in children's books that's really important. So there's another one here as well from Lady Brona, and she says, Andrew, I'm a grandma at this stage of my life, and your talk is filling me with joy. Although I've always been an in-tune parent, I have been following Helen since the beginning. Now having materials at hand, stories that aren't scary, for example, like Little Red Riding Hood, where I had to leave out parts with my own children. I'm delighted that the children are now being told daily, and I hope at how precious they are. Thank you. So she's saying thanks, because your books show how precious.
No, that's beautiful.
And Emma again says, I also love how it can facilitate the development of reflective practice and theory of mind concepts, and that would develop from this. These books sound like a great tool for me.
Right. Yeah, and what she's catching on is quite right. I mean, we touched on it earlier, but these last 20 minutes of your day can be a spiritual practice. There's no rule book about spiritual practice being something that happens in isolation by yourself. In fact, we're deeply affected in our lives by relationship with people and with objects and with space. And this is a moment of relationship. And when we learn to kind of come on in, I want to acknowledge that for parents, this subject around safety, sense of safety and sense of belonging is very alive in every human being. It doesn't matter if they're 3 years old or 43 years old. That unless you've really had the opportunity to do decades of deep spiritual work, this will be rattling around inside you, affecting you in some way. And it may come out as this concern of, am I a good parent? And how do you know if you're a good parent or good enough? It's not my term. Somebody has that term. We talk about it.
I've heard that. Yeah, to be a good enough parent. Yeah.
And that again, from the parents who are using these breathing practices and the activity pages, that they're leaving story time feeling more deeply connected to their little ones. They've learned more about them. They've been ready for that opening when it happens, and so they kind of get to close the bedroom door feeling, wow, that was sweet. And I mean, I'm not over idealistic. I know this isn't every night of the week, but I also know that when you get those moments, that it tempers in you as a parent any doubts that you have around being a good parent.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I've had lovely moments like that with my own kids as well. And one thing that blew me away only just last week was my little boy, he's 8, and we were just walking through the park, and he just got really kind of, he was off in his own little mind. And then and he turned to me and he said, do you know what's amazing? And I said, what's really amazing? That we're here alive and we can touch each other. And I said, yeah, that is really pretty amazing, Kevin. Like, I mean, sometimes they just come out with these things. So it's lovely for parents, because that's a lot of what I do with the parent coaching is it's about helping the parents establish that connection with their children for the parents' benefit as much as it is for the children's benefit, to have that deep connection with your child, because there's so much they can teach us. I mean, they're just already so wise, and there's so much things that they can teach us as parents too, right?
Right. They're here to help us awaken.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's going to happen whether we like it or not. We can fight this, but why? To no end. I mean, they come Yeah, they come in a certain way, fully formed awakening machines that, that throw beautiful tantrums to make us check in with ourselves and see what's the problem with
Yeah.
what's the
And to
problem with this
slow
one.
down and things. I think a lot of as adults we're going so fast, and the one thing that children always seem to want is for us to slow down. And when you do slow down, that kind of helps with the whole spirituality as well, doesn't it? It does bring you to that place of being a bit more centered and a bit more in the moment. And that's what our kids are like constantly asking us to do, is to be here, to be present, and to be with them in that moment. So yeah, they have a lot to teach us. It's wonderful.
And my question to you and to your listeners is, what do you need stories about? You know,
Right in, please. We've got yeah, get some more comments up here about some what they want from you. That sounds great. I saw that you've actually got a new enough one up, have you? Did you say it was for 8 years? I again only saw on YouTube. I'm sorry that I haven't actually purchased yet, but is there one a Panther or something? Any
right.
beside
So you're sneaking in ahead of a launch, and that launch happens tomorrow. So I'd love.
I'm sorry, I'll leave it. I'm so sorry.
No, we want to talk about this because we're
Okay.
already. I can't. We've been working on this for years now, and tomorrow is the day. So it might be quite late tomorrow your time, but we are launching the pre-sales of a story. Where is it? Where is it? Wait for me. This is the story.
Yes.
This was the very first mock-up. We've changed the cover. It's going to be all in black because it just looks so regal and magnificent. Mm-hmm. And the story of how Diablo became Spirit is in fact a true life event. It's the first book that I've co-authored with a dear friend of mine. Her name is Anna Breitenbach, and she's an animal communicator. She has this incredible ability to communicate across, what we would think are impossible boundaries, but she does it so effectively that she can make anybody actually learn how to do it. And if you go to our site, consciousstories.com, we already have the video of there's a YouTube video. It's had 7 million views of her interaction with this leopard who was called Diablo at the time. And then the leopard requested a name change because it didn't like being called the devil, which is Diablo in Spanish. And you might think I'm being kooky, but watch the video. It's an incredible moment that got caught on film, and you've already heard my theme is all around connection. It's around connection. The last 20 minutes of the day is part of that, but the other places that we can have connection in our life, if we feel connected to nature and to animals, as we said. The Course of Miracles is saying there's only one problem, and it's separation. And again, here this feeling of being separate from nature and our surroundings. Now, I know that's not as prevalent an experience in Ireland, but inner city America is frightening. There are children who almost never walk barefoot on grass, and I grew up in South Africa, so I don't think I owned shoes before I was 6 years old. And we want to teach the tools to make connection with animals, and all of those tools. This is at the back of the book. This is the activity page called Spirit Secret Steps, and it's 10 very simple steps that kids can follow, and they will kids, grown-ups, adults, everybody, the inner child can follow, and we will to enable connection with. Whichever animals got you curious. And there's going to be a lot of we're going to have a lot of fun over the next 3 weeks, as both on our social media and our newsletter, as we communicate about the story and share more and more of it as we go.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So we've got one more question, okay? I'm just going to hear. It's from Anne, and she says, my children are close in age. Would it be better to read these stories on their own to allow for better connection time with mom or dad before sleep? So should she separate the children or read all at one time?
She's almost answered her own question. in that there is a recognition that better connection time can happen on a one-to-one basis. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that so sometimes do that, and what I also see that works really well is if you're in a family where your children, where there's one child under the age of 8 and there's other children over the age of 8. Over the age of 8, kids are going to turn their nose up at these books, and they're going to say, "Oh, we don't do bedtime stories anymore. I'm reading something else. I've got to." Not
my 8-year-old, no way.
but certainly I see quite a lot of that, and that's what you do is you get the 8-year-old to read to the 4-year-old, and the message goes in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's fantastic. So if there's any more questions, maybe people will pop up now, and if not, I suppose we'll just leave it at that. The one thing actually I did want to speak to you about before you do that, just in case someone hasn't gone onto your website, and maybe just to encourage them to do so, you actually sell the books, like they can get one there's like a membership, and they can get one every month for a year. That's still going on?
That is available, but it's only available in the US at the moment.
Oh, is it? Because I saw it on your website, I thought, that's incredible. That's such a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
And is it ever going to be coming?
I'm dealing with shipping costs. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you as much as the book to get it to you. Much as I would love to, and if somebody really wants it, it's not that we can't do it. It's just that I don't. I think it would be
very expensive.
It'd be an expensive exercise, yeah.
Well, I think that there's definitely a market for that, because I think that's brilliant. I know a lot of people who buy a load of books in at Advent before Christmas to have a book, and they have them all wrapped up individually, and that's how they're doing that. And things. So I know that the way that that's set up, I think there's a load of parents would just jump on that. I think it's a brilliant idea to get a different book every month in the mail like that.
Right. Well, maybe I must create a special 12-pack where you can just buy everything at once, and then at the other end you'll work out your time delivery process there. But that being said, you can still jump into the way that we're going to work that subscription model is that every family gets the same book in the same month. Mm-hmm. What it enables us to do is to talk about the theme of that book in conversations like this, and we can get together with the community, have Zoom calls, hear what's happening at the home, have this parents understand the theme and how children do, and then bring it to life a bit more deeply. And you don't need to be getting the book once a month to get in. If
you have them all, if you have the collection already, you can.
Yeah, if you've got them at home, just come and join us for those calls. And it's a very young part of our business. The business is generally very young, and we're learning how to get books out and around the world. Mm-hmm. Pretty much, as I said, I publish it myself, so I don't come from a publishing background. But I realized that in order to keep the collection together and coherent with the artistic style that brings the stories to life correctly, I needed to hold the ownership of that, that's what's happening.
Yeah, very good. Well, look, thanks so much for doing the call today. We've not got any more comments or questions, so we're just going to leave it. Is that okay?
That's perfect, and thank you for having me so much. And I'm an admirer of your work, and I'm so grateful that you're reaching out to support parents in your local community.
Absolutely. I'm such an admirer of your work, so that's amazing. Thank you so much. What an honor for you to say something like that to me. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you.
Take care, and we'll chat soon, Helen.
Bye.